Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about, avoiding mistakes. And the type of mistake I'm talking about is picking your mode of transportation. Should you go ahead and buy a car here in Albania? Do you want a motorcycle? Would an upright scooter that you stand on, would that be something better? Should you just walk? Should you use public transportation? We're going to go over these things and we're going to talk about the pros and the cons to each one. And you might think you already know what the pros and cons to these things would be because it would seem pretty obvious what they would be. Things are a little unique here in Albania, so make sure you stay tuned. So the first method we're going to talk about is walking, the most simple thing you could possibly do. Go outside, get some exercise, and this is great. Now, I don't know what city you're looking at in Albania, but I can tell you that if you're going to some of the major cities, you can end up doing a whole lot of walking. Now, walking's fine and great, but let's talk about the pros and cons to it. For one, there's traffic, depending on where you're at, everywhere. And it's sometimes hard to avoid the traffic, meaning the sidewalks maybe get so thin that you have to end up walking on the road, and you walk on the road and there's two cars passing by and there's not a lot of room, and you really got to watch out for your well-being. You're using a crosswalk, which they are really good about avoiding pedestrians in crosswalks, but then again, you have people from other countries here as well, so you do need to be careful when you're crossing all the crosswalks. Another thing is fatigue. So I live here in Vlorë, and our first couple of weeks here, we did not have any form of transportation except walking, and it can get tedious real quick, simply because when you move here, you need this, you need that for your new apartment or your house, like blankets, pillows, whatever it may be, and you don't know where anything's at. You end up walking all over the place, and it's not exactly like you can get a cab and say, oh, I want to go to this store and that store, because you don't even know where those stores are at, because a lot of places aren't even on the internet where you can search for them. The only way you can find them is to walk past them. So that is walking. There are good points, bad points. Obviously, you can throw in walking at any point in your life and it's right there. You don't have to buy anything. So that covers walking. Next is bicycles. Well, that sounds like a great option. A lot of people that I have met come over and they buy a bicycle. So where would the cons be to having a bicycle? Something so simple. Well, first, riding them on the sidewalks. The sidewalks aren't always smooth and easy to bike on, which means you have to get off of the sidewalk and into the road. Cars don't give much leniency towards bicycles, meaning they don't give much respect to them at all. So just keep that in mind. And biking is great, but let's talk about some of the cons, and that is, where are you going to store the bike? Well, if you lived in a house on the first floor, it would be easy just to ride your bike up to the house and store it. No big deal. However, here in Albania, most people live in apartments. So let's say you live on the 4th or 5th floor of a high rise. Now you have your bike. Where are you going to put it? A lot of times outside of these apartment complexes, there's nowhere to secure your bike. And if you do, it's going to get rained on. So if you bought a really nice bike, you're going to leave it out in the elements for the most part. Now, if you do want to bring your bicycle into covered area in your apartment complex, you could chain it to the very bottom floor, maybe where the stairwell is. Only everyone else in that apartment complex has the exact same idea. And all the ones I've ever been in, they can fit about a max of 2 locked up, and then you're just out of room. So let's assume you can't do that. Next, you could get your bicycle on the elevator. Can you? A lot of the elevators here in Albania are extremely small, enough to fit 4 people. So if you try to get in there with a bike, first of all, it's not going to fit on 2 wheels. You'd have to pop a wheelie, have it pointed straight up in most cases, and get on there, and it's just going to be you and your bike. So anyone else who tries to get on that elevator isn't going to like you very much because you're taking up the whole thing. Next, you got the upright e-scooter, which I have, and I love it. It's an easy way to get anywhere I need to go. It doesn't make any noise. For me, I found it easy to ride. It's dangerous though, I will say that. You will have a tendency to go faster and faster on the e-scooter, and you could ride it just about anywhere. I'll say it, you could ride it anywhere. And again, it's really quick and easy. Some of the cons of this is that it's, again, very dangerous to ride. Cars are not looking for stand-up e-scooters because if you're riding on a stand-up e-scooter, you can fit in places that other vehicles can't, and you're coming at cars from angles that they're not looking for you. So if you're not paying attention, you could get in trouble on one of those real quick. The other problem is that if it rains, most of the stand-up e-scooters, they're battery powered, they don't handle rain well. I bought a very nice one and it is only 30% water resistant. So that means anytime that it rains, even if it finished raining and all the water is on the ground, you still safely can't use the stand-up e-scooter because it kicks up water all over your scooter and it will short it out because it's nothing but a big old battery, and you will end up wasting your money on that stand-up e-scooter. So that means you can't really ride it in rainy weather. Now, what about motorcycles? Well, I just bought one of those, so now I can give you a good honest opinion on that mode of transportation as well. So motorcycles are obviously motor powered. You can also buy the electrical ones, so we'll just cover both of them. Most of the electric motorcycles, they do handle water well, so you don't have the same problem as with the stand-up e-scooter. Now with the motorcycle, the great thing is that you can park it all over the place. It's easy to get parking. You can park them anywhere. It's great. My wife and I, we didn't travel most anywhere during the middle of the day simply because there was nowhere to park. If both of us wanted to go somewhere together, we rode in the car, nowhere to park. But with a motorcycle, it's opened up everything. She could ride on the back. We're used to riding motorcycles from when we lived in Thailand. So bought a motorcycle, enjoying every minute of it. It goes to decent speeds. Obviously, you can get any kind of motorcycle you want, so it does go fast, it does keep up with traffic. You can get around some traffic by splitting the lanes. You can do that here. And again, I can't stress this enough, you can park just about anywhere, in front of your favorite restaurant, in front of the bank. All these things I have already done. Absolutely love the motorcycle. You could ride it in the rain. You can easily store it outside. It's going to be a little bit harder to get away with a motorcycle. I'd still lock it up. So all these things, I really have no big negative except for the danger factor of riding a motorcycle, meaning you could get hit by a car. However, if you are using them in bigger cities, then you're really not going that fast, or you can control that too. Doesn't mean you won't get in an accident. Please wear a helmet. But, if you're not going at high rates of speed or acting stupid on them, it might be a viable form of transportation for you. Now let's go to cars. I have a car. I bought it within 2 weeks of living here in Albania. And I would say 95% of any of the bad moods I have ever had in this country is in the car driving. I've been yelled at by other drivers. I get the lights flicked at me all the time. They want me out of the way because they're going 3 times the speed limit, wanting to go around me, which is very annoying. You name it, fill in the blank. But the worst part about driving, well, there's 2 ties. One of them is the traffic, because when there's traffic, these cities weren't set up for all these cars. They just weren't. But going on that, the most, let's just call it the number one, is parking. You can't park anywhere. You can, but you're gonna have to look forever, and you may end up parking really weird. And when you are driving your car, you gotta get around all these people who are double parked. They flip on their blinky lights and they're right in the middle of the road, and now you have to go around them, and it's only 2 lanes, and then somebody does the same thing on the other side of the street, and you can barely even pass. So both lanes going opposite directions are at a standstill because only one car can go in between. This stuff happens every day. It will absolutely drive you insane. Don't believe me, please give it a try. Parking is a complete nightmare. It really is. It's one of the things I hate most. When I go from the city I'm in Vlorë, and let's say I'm driving to Tirana, I will go ahead and scope out ahead of time on the map to find out where there is paid public parking, and I will park there just so I have a spot, and forget, I'll just walk the rest of the way wherever it is I need to go. It's that bad. And most places like businesses don't even have parking, so don't think there's a safety net there. Oh, we'll go eat at this restaurant and park in their parking. If they do have a spot, it may be 1 or 2 spots. And then they're already taken up more than likely if it's a good restaurant. So these are just some of the things that you have to think about when you're choosing your mode of transportation here. Yes, there are taxis, you can take those. That will get old quick. I had people who would ask me about moving to Thailand and they said, oh, I'll just take a taxi everywhere I need to go. It doesn't last more than a month. They get sick and tired of it. I will assume that here it would be the same thing, where you get really tired of people making up fares or having to wait on one to arrive and pick you up all the time. So you really need to think about where you want to live based on how you think you're going to get around what suits your needs. So I hope this was helpful. It's definitely something to think about when you do move here. Hope this was helpful. If you feel so inclined, buy us a coffee. We would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. And I'm going to end this by saying thank you in Albanian, which is Faleminderit.